Snitching is one of the biggest crimes imaginable in both the streets and hip-hop culture.
Not one of the biggest
so
crimes
when someone goes
imaginable.
out of their way to make a career out of uncovering those who've committed this terrible offense, it's no surprise that they are seen as heroes by some and villains by others. But what happens when the snitch buster is also accused of being an informant himself? And does it lead to the empire they've built crumbling around them? It's your boy
It should.
Luesta, and this is the story of
We'll find out.
1090 Jake, a YouTuber who made a career off exposing rappers who were snitches and eventually got exposed for the very same thing while he was in prison. But first, let's get you up to speed on how he became such a big deal in the first place. Born in Massachusetts, the content creator lesser known as Jake Cherry was just your average kid getting into some scrapes before he moved to Tampa, Florida. At that point, his life took a drastic turn when he became a rare example of a white boy joining the Bloods. From there, he set out on a mission to prove himself in ways that your typical gang member wouldn't have to, all because of his unique status.
Yeah, that was really like the only thing that I was around. It's not like you could pick from this gang and that gang. Where I was at, it was just mad bloods. So I kind of naturally went into that space, ended up getting brought over to a specific block, and it went how it went. People respect violence, so it's kind of like I feel like I had to do more than a lot of other people were doing. The specific person that I met though that brought me into the situation was mixed, so he wasn't really tripping off the race shit.
Sent to juvie when he was just 16 years old over a stolen gun, he was then sentenced to 3 years on a robbery charge, where he began to learn the ins and outs of the prison system.
Okay. So I went to state prison when I was 18. As far as like the actual juvenile, the Department of Juvenile Justice, it was either 16 or 17 when I first went in there. They were trying to link me to an armed burglary, so I got hit with the possession of a stolen firearm, armed burglary, and I ended up beating the case because my co-defendant more or less took the rap in the case.
According to him, this led to a whole host of fights behind
Yo, what is happening? I ain't gonna
and
lie,
even a
yo.
hit being placed on his head by the gangster disciples that led to Jake's face being slashed. But if you ask some people, Jake's time in prison went a little differently to the way he tells it. However, we'll get to that later in the video. Once he got out, Jake received 2 years of probation and moved back to Massachusetts. Free from gang life, he began to use his in-depth knowledge of the prison system and started making content on his own channel known as End of Sentence. Back then, he was just spreading awareness of his own experiences and raising awareness of what he had experienced inside.
This video right here is gonna be about how I was cut inside of prison.
But once he started to run out of his own stories, Jake built a name for himself from exposing others. Before long, he had his very own content niche where he not only covered the same gritty stories of inner city violence that we're used to hearing, but would also use any resource possible to expose alleged snitches in hip hop. And in doing so, he'd make himself one of the most hated figures in the culture among all of those rappers who had paperwork on file that they wished they could outrun. Beginning with regional MCs before working his way up to bigger names, 1090 Jake made himself a fully fledged career out of putting rappers on blast for their past indiscretion. Whether it was Spot 'em Got 'em, Boston Richie, Finesse 2 Times, or even Quality Control CEO Pierre P. Thomas, 1090 Jake was putting everyone's business out there. And each man has been left stained with the brush of being a potential cooperator ever since. But every time their paperwork came out in videos that racked up millions of views, the first thing they would do is try to discredit him. Just look at how Boston Richie was scrambling to cover up the interrogation video that 1090 Jake had posted.
One of the hottest young rappers in the streets right now who ran it up off of public housing. Got one of the hottest songs with Future right now. Also has worked with Lil Durk, is now forced to stop his momentum to address snitching allegations. A man by the name of 1090 Jake recently released a video that shows Boston Richie in an interrogation room years back for nearly an hour. Richie is now explaining what happened. Apparently this all centered around the death of his cousin. He said he was giving the police the runaround. He said it was a goose chase. Everybody know about it.
I ain't give a fuck about that shit, cause like my whole city know what's going on. My whole city already know like who I'm as a person.
Richie wants to know why fans would trust a guy like 1090 Jake anyway. A guy that ain't from the streets, but speaking on everybody's case when it comes to the streets.
Man, I know what happened. We was there when this shit went down. I don't care about the internet got to say or what another nigga from out of a whole nother city got to say, man. This some shit that I don't talk about them from niggas out my city probably one time. And the nigga on some shit like, man, we not talking about that shit like, we niggas, you ain't got to convince that you silent.
This wasn't even the only interview that Boston Richey would go on where he discussed the situation at length, which showed just how much it really affected him and his brand. To this day, it's still the main thing that hangs over his head in terms of controversy. From up-and-coming rappers to literal CEOs, no one was safe from 1090 Jake's brand and investigative journalism. Even when those accused branded him as a clout chaser, or in the case of 03
We
Greedo,
still
who
believe
Jake
you.
accused from dealing with the feds, literally banished him from an entire city.
Me and him never spoke. He didn't say nothing disrespectful in the interview. He said it was fake. He said he never gave an interview with the DEA. Mind you, all the paperwork I went over in the video came from them. So then I made the request myself to the county and I got the full affidavit. And you know, I got banned from LA by the Grapes right after that video. So I flew out right after and did an interview on No Jumper. And I brought the affidavit, the copy of it that I got from the county, and everything matched up. He's saying he's gonna get the video. I requested the video. They said it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if he's ever gonna get that, but I don't know.
But he's basically denying it.
Yeah, he's denying it, and he's got a lot of people that are backing him on it. Like, oh, that doesn't count.
Why does it not count?
I don't know. They be making exceptions for people. What I heard was because it's not court paperwork, it's sheriff department paperwork, it doesn't count. But what doesn't make any fucking sense about that is every single one of those documents would be in the court case. It would just be photocopied and stamped with a court number. So whether you request it from the courts or the county, it's gonna be the same fucking thing.
Suddenly racking up foes in hip-hop while making a bag all at the same time, Jake was well
just
aware
grab it
of
from
the
the courts
potential
then, fuck.
dangers that came with exposing those with a lot to lose.
When you make this type of content and you're involved in hip hop in itself, it becomes dangerous and you make more enemies than you know of. You don't know whose story you've talked about before, and they're just like, you know what, I'm so mad, but I'm not gonna go after none of them that did it. I'm gonna go after this kid that just talked about it.
Yeah,
But that
because
wasn't the only
nobody
hurdle
knew
he faced,
unless you
as
had
given
said
the fact that he
something.
was a white guy from
They didn't run the
Massachusetts
sheriff didn't
discussing
run out there and say
predominantly
that.
black
You did.
artists,
You brought it
there were
up.
some who felt uncomfortable with him being
You the
one
reason
who
why
decided
millions of
what
people
rapper
know this. Yo, I'm on the wrong page, y'all. Bear with me on this one. Yeah.
should suddenly be outcasts in the culture. And over time, people like Charleston White made this well known.
How he getting them? How is he getting interrogation tape from the police department? How is he getting this? The media can't get this. The new Channel 8, how is he getting this? And why is it they just giving it to a white man only to come destroy black people? This white man got the power to destroy black people, and we eating out the palm of his hands because he can come expose our snitches. He ain't exposing no white folks. And they ain't giving him no white interrogation tapes, or the bikers, or the skinheads. Who doing this to us? Who? And why is it a white face that sits over the tapes that decides who we see and we biting on it? Who is this white boy? And why
Yo,
is
you
he
can
so into
literally
black
request
snitches?
this shit.
Why?
Since he's so
Why
slow,
does it
he
matter to
doesn't
this
know.
cracker?
But you can
I hate it. I don't
request
even
it.
know it. I just
If
know
you
he
go
a
on
cracker
here
white
all the
boy.
time, you see
And I
people
hate them kind of
requesting
white
it.
folks.
Like
I don't
Rack,
care how
whatever. He
credible
be
his
getting the
information
ones
is. We don't wanna
Vaughn,
hear from no white folks to come destroy
what's his
our
snitch,
crime. He destroying
Butter,
number of black people with this credible
you feel me?
information that he
All
obviously
of
is
them.
getting from the police.
It's like, yo, somebody
With
had to
comments
bring
like
it from
Real
a
Talk,
different
No
source
Lies
to get it up here.
And
You
Charleston
feel
just
me?
destroyed Jake's career. You would think that he was done.
How
after
you think
someone
they had, like,
Charleston
the
White,
babies,
a well-respected
the
figure in the
interrogation and
hip-hop
stuff?
space,
Somebody had
discredited
requested
his
that
whole
shit.
brand. But in Jake's opinion, this was just a natural response to the fact that he was the one who managed to turn this kind of content into a viable business.
As far as who gets the profit, it's the motherfucker that figures it out. We could all stop right now. That doesn't mean you're gonna take off. You might not even be good at this shit. They might not even like you. They watch you because they like you. They watch me because they like me. It is what the fuck it is. Because people will say me and you are only succeeding at this shit because we're white and there's some big fucking conspiracy and they're getting blackballed. It never ends.
It just seems like reliable. It
Besides,
seems
it's not
reliable
like everyone
every
was
time.
against it.
Paperwork,
In fact,
it's
some people
reliable.
actively supported what he
feel
did,
me?
and
Niggas
his
talk with
reputation
clarity
for
too,
outing
so it just make it
informants
better.
led to him being shouted out by Lil Durk on the track Eyes Red.
Iski beat his body, he the man. Even though the witness took the stand. 1090 Jake on the ground. Black snitch and short to the fan.
He even got the seal of approval from some of the most notoriously opinionated figures in the culture, like Boosie.
1090 Jake said like 3 of the people in the XXL freshman issues are snitches and have paperwork. You know what I'm saying? More and more and more and more and more. Like
More and
paperwork
more,
is popping out of the
like
woodwork
they
and it's just
bro,
like crazy.
it's just bad, bro. Appreciate 1090 Jake too, bro. Like,
You fuck with him?
yeah, I fuck with him, bro. If it wasn't for him, bro, and if he was a different color, it'd be all gravy.
Oh man, people more scared of him than me these days.
Hey, I'm grateful for 1090 Jake, bro. I smile every time.
Got him.
We gotta get him on the show, man.
Every time, yeah, got him.
Closet, Jake was getting a real
the finesse 2-time with the fun. Not him was trying to finesse us 2 times. Y'all see that? Yeah, we was like, the folks
he was
just
clearly
crazy.
an artist when they were
He
falsely
was
accused,
telling.
even if he felt viewers just focused on the negative.
They tried to say thug snitched or whatever. I did a video on that, and his sister thanked me. The thing is, when I dropped that video, everybody assumed I had something negative to say. All the comments and, you know, it hit all the blogs, everybody's talking cash shit, but his actual sister is like, yo, I appreciate you for clearing his name on that. You know, so a lot of people, they don't even want to see what it is. They just have an opinion and hate on it.
Building an empire out of being the man who could tell you if someone really told or if it was all just hearsay, Jake really looked unstoppable for a brief moment. But unfortunately for him, all those he had tried to take down were now going to savor the news that in his past, Jake might have crossed the line into snitching territory himself. In September of 2023, stories began to emerge that Jake wasn't quite the hardline anti-snitch campaigner that he made himself out to be. According to reports, 1090 Jake had supposedly handwritten a letter about an altercation when he was behind bars, where he seemed to be telling on a fellow inmate.
Paperwork has surfaced of 1090 Jake allegedly writing a handwritten statement against another inmate while he was locked up. How do we feel about this?
Jake tried to do damage control for his brand by hopping on Instagram Live with Remo from No Jumper to try and set the record straight about the allegations, where he claimed that he had actually covered this in old videos.
I'm gonna be honest with you, nobody really gets out of confinement. If you get a DR, yeah, pretty much not gonna get out of there.
Yeah.
So I wrote that shit up like, look, ain't none of this shit happened. None of this shit's true. I had to sit in the room handcuffed while they beat the out of both of the boys. And even though this is dude I'm at war with, and he just fired me up, I don't want to see nobody get flipped like that. You know, I'd rather do it to you than watch the police do it. This is from 4 years ago, bro. Breaking down this whole.
The comments to the video showed that people were not buying.
Yeah, we don't want to hear that.
I'm talking to y'all.
I don't like how he tried to clear that, but talk about what it was that was said in the paper. What was said?
Just like you be doing our
yeah.
A rat is a rat,
white or black.
White or black. Cap. No explaining yourself. Bottom line, you a snitch, goofball. But one thing about making a lot of enemies is that when your own downfall is taking place, they'll pile
literally
on.
Making it inevitable.
Jake had previously grilled someone like Wack 100
it could be the littlest
fact
shit.
that he had been in the vicinity of a few snitches before, like Takashi and Skinny from the 9. It meant that the minute that he was the one under the microscope, they were ready to go and try to wreck his whole reputation.
We're running this snitch paperwork, right?
Right.
So I was like, cool, we're gonna run that, but let's talk about your
literally. Let's talk about that.
Yours, the one you. When you were
fact.
So what do you think he told on?
Mama, when you was talking to them people like yeah.
You know, I got a little research team over there on Clubhouse to put it all together. I think if he told, he should just say, listen, I'm King Rat, and one rat knows a rat. And people will respect that. He like, I'm exposing rats. So then he takes away the attack.
Literally.
What you mean, the gentleman in the paperwork?
Suddenly, videos titled things like, "This new leaked paperwork could be the end of 1090 Jake's career," were being published, and the tables were firmly turned on Jake. This presented a real problem, as now, it meant that Jake wasn't seen as a vital voice, but just another internet personality with a shady past. And now he's had to defend himself about it in every interview, since alongside posting a 40-minute video where he went over every allegation in an attempt to dead them once and for all.
You were actually accused.
Yeah.
Of snitch.
Again. They're not giving up.
So paperwork surfaced of 1090 Jake allegedly snitching on an inmate while he was in jail. Accusers claimed he spoke on another inmate fighting in a handwritten statement. The end of the statement also said, "Please help me," addressed to the warden as he expressed that he was threatened, blackmailed, and assaulted and needed help.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with the situation?
Yeah, I'm dead. I was mad soft in prison. Yeah, so everybody said I wrote a statement. What I wrote was a grievance, right?
Okay.
So anybody that's familiar with being incarcerated,
so you wrote that?
Is
a bitch.
Like a complaint. So I filed a grievance. Now I wrote in the grievance, these CEOs are trying to fuck with me. They trying to do this, they trying to do that, set me up, beat me, whatever. I'm trying to get the out of here. The CEOs are lying on me. My grievance had really nothing to do with the situation other than they lied in the situation. Nothing I wrote in the grievance could be used against another inmate because I named him in. They know what happened. We already got found guilty for this. So nothing I said could be used against him. But they try to put it out there like I wrote a statement against him. That's what got him sent to confinement. This, that, and the third. So the
so you snitched though, because why is there even a piece of paper of anything wrote explaining anything that even happened during that time?
Crazy
that's
how it's
not
double
telling.
standards when it's you involved.
Like, what are you
Moving
talking
the
about?
goalposts when it's you. Dude is a rat. Left without the untouchable reputation he once had, his critics were now looking at his whole operation sideways.
Well, he snitched. That's how you know how they spoke. He snitched in jail, wrote a grievance on him.
He talked about that. He said he didn't snitch.
That's
but they got paperwork said he did. If you write any information, that's telling.
Didn't he give information on a CO?
Telling is telling, whether you tell on a CO or not. If you tell on a CO, you'll tell on a crook because you got a nature of telling. Telling is telling. You don't tell on nobody.
If you don't tell,
a CO, a cop, the crooks don't go file complaints on cops. They take the mistreatment and wrongdoing. I'm a crook.
Okay.
Crooks don't get treated fairly. Crooks don't get rewards. Crooks don't get benefits, hard times, consequences, and repercussions.
This period is where things really began to go south for Jake, because rather than these comments going away, they've now become a permanent part of the narrative around him, putting a question mark next to basically everything he does. And as Charleston White going at him wasn't bad enough, he's even had one of the biggest lawyers in hip-hop going after him. Lawyer Bradford Cohen, an attorney who's represented stars like Drake, Travis Scott, Vanilla Ice, DeAndre Baker, Polo G, DMX, Dennis Rodman, YNW Melly, and others. Bradford also had a close professional and personal affinity with Kodak Black. During his time exposing prison business, Jake called out Yak for not only collaborating with 6ix9ine, but also for allegedly being placed in protective custody while he was in prison. And eventually, Bradford clapped back to say that Jake had ulterior motives. This story is strange. 1090 Jake wanted an interview with Kodak about his feature on a record. When he didn't do the interview, this guy came out and said that somehow Kodak told on jail guards. When I filed a lawsuit against guards, which is part of the basis for the commutation, for failing to allow Kodak access to religious leaders and abuse, that was telling. Meanwhile, I just got DMs from a person with docs where 1090 Jake gave a sworn statement as a witness in a shooting and gave a statement to police about other individuals. Once again,
Yo, these ads are getting crazy, yo. Plus, I gotta do with the ones y'all got on.
And Jake tried to brush this under the carpet and left a comment on the post stating, "You a lawyer, request that shooting case and see nobody existed in that case. Talk about why Kodak ain't come out of his cell." Hit with accusations that he is a snitch every time he tries to comment on what a rapper is embroiled in, it seems less than coincidental that these days, he plans to pivot his content into different territory.
Well, like I said in the beginning, snitching is pretty much over with. Early on in my YouTube career, and I mean like before 50,000 subscribers, I did interviews. And I feel like I want to tap back into that realm. You know what I mean? I feel like I followed in the footsteps of, I say, academics, finding a way of becoming hated through YouTube. And now that I've done that, I'd like to follow in the footsteps of others, even yourself, and establish myself in a different way.
I like you paying homage.
And just bring some new things to the table, shed light on some things that I feel I can bring forth, like the Florida culture, the prison culture, bringing on a lot of people whose stories haven't been heard. And I think that's the direction that I want to take on my channel. I want to get away from the snitching.
Looking to become a more conventional content creator, some of his fans wonder if he's burned too many bridges to be sitting there doing interviews with elite level rappers. What Jake had going for him is that people love to see other people's lives in worse shambles than their own. He's made enemies. To make matters worse, it was his tendency to find dirt on artists that was recently referenced in one of the biggest rap beefs of our time. On Drake's failed attempt to save face in his feud against Kendrick with The Heart Part 6, Drizzy referenced Jake as a way to clear himself of any wrongdoing by saying that if there were dark secrets lurking, he would have found them.
Where's the paperwork of the cabinet is filed in? 1090 Jake would've took all the walls down. The streets would've had me hiding out in a small town.
At the moment, 1090 Jake is learning the dangers of being synonymous with one.
He tried to put it on 1090 Jake like, he don't say nothing, I'm
this
good.
Wasn't so much of a problem.
Like, nah,
but
nigga.
now that he's got the same stain on him that he's administered to so many rappers, it means that his content can't possibly hit the same for most viewers. Even when he hit 1 million subscribers, it was still the first thing a lot of social media said to diminish
Matter
his
of fact, he next.
And now that he's trying to move away
next.
from it, he
I
really
just
has
seen
to
one of
hope
them,
that
you know?
fans will still rock with him in the same way they did when he had his unique selling point as the man who could ruin your favorite artist's reputation at a moment's notice. And not to say it's really done too much damage to his channel, as he's still consistently posting videos to this very day, and his views are still pretty solid, doing around 3 million views a month at the time of this recording. And recently, Bro even snitched on someone who was close to him. So in a lot of ways, he is now facing the repercussions of a culture he contributed to. And in that sense, he really can't complain about the reputational issues he's facing now.
You see how he tried to switch the content up when he got caught? It be crazy work. You feel me? Plus, I ain't gonna lie, who wanna be hated by everybody? Plus, you know what I'm saying? It's already, once you make it, already, you know, niggas already hate you naturally. So it's like, now he just making more niggas that hate him. And he talking about doing interviews and shit. Man, ain't nobody trying to sit down with you, bro. He had Trap Lil Ross come sit down. Talking about his little Von test. Man, watch out, boy, watch out. You know I seen that. Watch out. You feel me? But I ain't gonna cat though. Y'all leave y'all comments below on what y'all thought. You feel me? If y'all think he deserved it, you feel me? Leave a like, subscribe if you're not. I would appreciate that. Till next time.